Hello, good morning, and welcome to Beitzah Daf Yomi, Beitzah 37. Shmuel couldn't make it today again. He went, I don't know where he went. I have no idea. I'm making up a lot of places that he went to. Maybe he went to discover the cure for cancer. I don't know exactly what he did. Maybe he went to space. We don't know. Anyway, I'm by myself. I got an aliyah this morning. A million. Rosh Chodesh. Aliyah on Rosh Chodesh. Someone complimented me on my aliyah afterwards and told them, it's not regular. It's not stam, as they say in the yeshivish world. Every Sunday night and every Wednesday night before Monday and Thursday, before I go to sleep, instead of saying Shema, I practice Birchas Torah. Just in case I got aliyah. Because I know a lot of people want to give me aliyahs. They want to make sure that I'm Magid Shir as myself, someone who's established in Torah, education. He's going to get aliyahs. It's natural. People want to be machabed me. So, last night, obviously, the night before, Rosh Chodesh, I prepared also. I also didn't say Amapil because of Rosh Chodesh. I didn't say Amapil, I didn't say Kriyat Shema. And I practiced Birchas Torah once, twice, three times. That was it. That's why my Birchas Torah came out flawless this morning. It was unbelievable to hear it. Quick and to the point. Not dwelling, not enunciating the words for too long. Just saying the words quickly. If you want to hear a Birchas Torah that's worth hearing, come the next Monday or Thursday. Come on Monday. I'm sure they'll give me aliyah. They'll give me aliyah every Monday. No joking. Shabbos will give me aliyah. All right, we're gonna start here. Top of Lamed Zayin and Aleph. The Gemara says, the Mishnah said, "Elohein mishum mitzvah." The fourth line, "Lo makdishim, lo marichin, lo machrimin." You can't be makdish something. You can't make erchen. You can't make a cherem to donate to the Kohanim or to the Bedek Habayit. Zera, what's the reason you can't do this? Zera mishum mekach memkar. It's like commerce. You're doing business on Yom Tov. What's the problem with doing business on Yom Tov? Either it's open the chol, or Tosfos explains as part of the Gzeira of Shema Yichtov. You might write when you're active in commerce and business. You're going to write things down. Nowadays, you just click on the computer. It saves it as a PDF. You don't have to write anything. Apparently, that's called writing. Digital is called writing. I don't know. Digital. They discuss on Cholamowi whether write or not. If you type on a computer, is that called writing? I don't know. It's digital. It doesn't really exist anywhere. It just exists on the screen. You could delete it in a second. It doesn't really exist. Is that called writing? Don't know. Anyway, you can't take out shumos and on Yom Tov. Pshita. Tanya Rav Yosef lo tzchucha. It's pasha. It's masakin money. You're fixing something now. You're removing the isser of tevel, and now you could eat it. Chiddush is that you might think it's mutter. Your whole reason you're doing it is going to give it to a Kohen that day. You don't plan on partaking of it that day. So it's not really tikkun money because you don't plan on partaking it. You're just taking it off to give it to the Kohen. So, it's still us to still tikkun money because potentially you could eat from it. Ani mili period is fili be'etmol. This is only talking about fruits that became tevel yesterday before Yom Tov. Period of tvila idna. Fairs that became tevel today. What's the example? Going Isa, like a dough that you want to make challahs on Yom Tov. You can knead the dough on Yom Tov. You can do it. You want to have fresh bread on Yom Tov. So then the Chiyuv of Challah comes, the first time the Chiyuv of Challah comes is on Yom Tov itself. So then you could take off Challah, that the Rabbanan weren't gozer on, because you have no way of doing it yesterday. You can even give it to a Kohen. The category, the second and third categories in the Mishnah, Mishum Rishus. Rishus is a non-voluntary, a voluntary type of mitzvah, non-obligatory type of mitzvah, but type of mitzvah. It also is a shvus. The whole reason it's a gzeira. Shvus is a gzeira they made that you might come to write. So why is it called Mishum Rishus? Mishum Rishus Lego, Mishum Mitzvah, Ika Mishum Rishus Lego, all to the third category, where it's a Chiyuv, a Mitzvah Chiyuvis. Exactly, a Mitzvah Chiyuvis to Makdish, your possessions of Egabayas, but more of a Mitzvah. So Mishum Rishus Lego, it's not considered a Shvus, it's a Gzeira, Shema Yichtov, according to those Mechel Memkar. Amar Yitzchak, Lomi Bayi Kamar. Mishnah means to say, Lomi Bayi. Lomi Bayi Shvus Grei Asa Da Asa. Of course, it's Xavier the Rabban and it's Asr. Afilu Shvus to Rishus. A regular Shvus where it's a completely voluntary act, right? You want to go climb a tree on Yom Tov. No one says you have to climb a tree, but even something which has halachic significance, it's a mitzvah. Afilu Shvus to Rishus. Nami Asr, even a Shvus to Rishus, it's still Asr, even though there's some type of mitzvah. Only by a Shvus to Rishus to Asr. Afilu Shvus to mitzvah, Nami Asr. The third part of the Mishnah is telling, even though it's actually a mitzvah, it's actually mitzvah chiyuvis, it's also asur because of the gzeira. So the Mishnah says that there's no difference in Yom Tov and Shabbos. It's the ochel nefesh balvad. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? Mashilim derech haruba Yom Tov b'Shabbos. The first Mishnah our parak says that there's another heter on Yom Tov. You're allowed to exert minimal exertion to lower things through a skylight, fruits through a skylight to save them from the rain. Shem hefsed mamon on Yom Tov, not on Shabbos. You see, for hefsed mamon, we're making on Yom Tov than Shabbos. Yosef Lokash, Harav Lezer, Harav Yeshua. One Mishnah is Lezer, one Mishnah is Yeshua. The Sanya also has been ocean off the labor, a mother and its child that fell into a pit on Yom Tov, for Yom Tov. And you can't shecht a mother and its child on the same day, so really you can only do the tircha of taking one shore out of the pit, because you can't shecht both of them on the same day. You pick up one of them, either the mother or the child, with plans to shecht, and you actually have to shecht. The sheni, you have to leave it in the pit and you give it some food over there. It's not going to die. So you could do a trick according to Rabbi Yeshua. You could say, I'm bringing the first one up because I plan on shechting him, and then he decides, you know what, I'm changing my mind. Now, really, he had in mind this the whole time, but he's clearly tricking everybody. And he goes, oh, maybe I'd rather have the second one, and he brings the second one, and then he can decide which one he wants. So Rishu is more makel, but I have some mum. When here, there's have some mum. You don't want to lose both shore and they're in the bore. Even if you give Parnas and Como, you might die there. So maybe Rishu is makel. So the Mishnah says Mashilin Peros Derech Arub on Yom Tov. That's Rabbi Yeshua. And the Mishnah says Amen Shabbos Yom Tov. That's Rabbi Lezer. I'm going to buy me my, and you know this is true. Only there, in the case of Oso Vespino, because there's a way of saving both. You could actually feed it in the bore itself. You're not going to definitely lose money. Avahacha by the Peros, where the rain is going to ruin the fruits. Still Efshar and Parnasa, low. He would agree. You could even be Meishal Peros Derech Ruba. You know me, I can't come Only allows there El Defshar La Arume. You could. It doesn't look like you're doing extra tircha or for hefsed mamon. Because it looks like you're just changed your mind. You're tricking people, subterfuge. So it doesn't look like you're actually doing extra work. Avahacha lefshel arume, but there's no trickery over here. Everyone knows why you're putting it in aruba to save it from the rain. Lo el amarav papa lo kasha. We can answer the two mishnayos that seems to contradict each other. One is Beit Shammai, one is Hillel. It's not Beit Shammai. Omrim motzin esakatan lo salulav below a sefer Torah zorabim. You're not allowed to do Beitzah on things which are not specifically ochel nefesh, a mitzvah, a lula, or a katan, bris milah, sefer Torah to read. Even though it's sort of a mitzvah, it's not ochel nefesh. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to do Beitzah. We still matir and we still allow. We talk Jewish. They have an extended allowance of Beitzah, and they allow you to make on Beitzah. So Beitzah is the one who says that you can make on Yom Tov Mishnah Peros Zacharuba. The second Mishnah Beit Shammai and our parak says Eimen Yom Tov Shabbos El Ochel Nefesh Belvad. So the Gemara says Dilma Lohi. Maybe it's not so true. You can't answer like that. Ad Kan Lo Kavim Beit Shammai Hasim El Beitzah. They only were machmir by Beitzah. Well, tiltal maybe it's just a tiltal or moving something, a little exertion. Then it'd be mekel. You're allowed to make shel peros zerach haruba for hefsed mamon. So the Gemara says, and so how do you know that it's maybe Beit Shammai wouldn't be the author of the second Mishnah or parak? Whereas the atu tiltal lav sorach chotza, the whole purpose of tiltal, the biggest sod, tiltal moksa, tiltal for tircha. The reason they didn't allow you to do these things is because you might come to do hotzah. If you're metaltal something, muksa, or tircha yisera in a private domain, you might come take it out to the public domain, to the sharabim. So the whole gzera, if anything is mutter hotzah, which is doraisa, surely tiltal or tircha would be matir it. So if Beis Shammai was machmir in hotzah, it's mistaber to assume that they were machmir in tiltal because you might come to do hotzah, you might come to take it outside. Mishnah. Here we're going to talk about something new about tchumen. Anyone remembers Mesachas Eruvin? There's a concept of tchumen. You make an erev tchumen. You can only transport something. You only walk, not transport something. You only walk. Your tchum. You can't go outside of the city limits. If there's no other adjoining cities within 2,000 amos out of the last houses after the last house in your city, you have 70 and 2/3 amos. It's called ibor. After the Ibor, you have another 2,000 amos into the wilderness. Now, if there's other houses there's other buildings there where people normally reside, so then it extends your tchum and you start counting from that's part of your city. But within 2,000 amos. But if there's 2,000 amos of desolate land, that means you can only walk until the edge of that tchum. Now, they did institute Erevei tchum, and there's a way of extending your tchum for another 2,000 amos. Wherever you put your kona shvisa, wherever you put a loaf of bread, you can put your loaf of bread before Yom Tov, before Shabbos, and you can extend your tchum. Your tchum could extend another 2,000 amos. So you put your tchum at 2,000 amos point away from your city, you can actually walk 4,000 amos in that direction. Now, if you walk 4,000 amos in one direction, that means that you lose the 2,000 amos that you're normally allowed to walk in the other direction. So you put it in the east, 2,000 amos, which means you're allowed to walk 4,000 amos in the east. In the west, you can't walk at all from your city. You can't even use the 2,000 amos of the normal tchum. Now I'm going to talk about when possessions, items, also have a tchum. Not just people have a tchum, but the items also have a tchum. And it depends. The item tchum depends on who owns the item. Presumably at the onset of Yom Tov, the onset of Shabbos, I mean Hashmashos on Friday night. Who owns it? That's gonna. So if multiple people own it, so then it's gonna be restricted by the tchum of both of them, or machmir. And it needs to fit into the tchum of both of them. It can only be transported, it can only be carried within the tchum of both of them. So the Mishnah says, animals and kalim. So it's not just examples, food and anything else. We normally go by the owner. So if you have a piece of a hot dog, piece of chicken, cooking on Friday night, you can transport that wherever your Erev Tchumen is. Your Erev Tchumen is 2,000 to the east, you can carry 4,000 to the east of the chicken, but you can't carry anything to the west. If you didn't make an Erev Tchumen, you have 2,000 animals each direction. If you give your animal to your son or to a shepherd, now we're talking about you gave it to him on Yom Tov. So therefore, at the onset of Yom Tov, Mein Hashmashos, and Erev Yom Tov, Erev Shabbos, it was in your possession. You didn't give it to the roa, to the shepherd yet. So therefore, it's in your possession. It goes after how far the tchumen of the bailim, the owners of the animal. Kalim hamiyuchadin, we'll see in the Gemara, it's different if you gave it to them on Yom Tov. Kalim hamiyuchadin, before Yom Tov. Kalim hamiyuchadin le'echam and ha'achim, shebayis harei lo karaglov. When brothers inherit an estate from their father, a Yerusha, so they have to split up the Yerusha. If there's no will, it doesn't say how they should split up the Yerusha. They each get a certain share. Bechor obviously gets more, but they each basically get an equal share. So here we're talking about in the Mishnah where they didn't divide the estate up yet. So if they specified that this brother before dividing it up he's the only one that's allowed to use this kli, then it goes by his tchumen. If they're not specified, they can be used by any of the brothers. You go by all the brothers. So if one brother sets up 2,000 to the north and one brother sets up 2,000 to the south, you can't transport this item anywhere because you're limited by each brother's tchum to the actual city. You can't leave the city at all. If you borrow something from your friend, before Yom Tov starts, so it goes after the borrower's tchum, because he borrowed it before Yom Tov. Yom Tov, he borrows on Yom Tov, and it goes based on the tchum of the person who lent it out to you. If a woman borrowed from her friend spices or water or salt, and then she baked it into a bread on Yom Tov, so it goes by both of them because she borrowed it on Yom Tov. So Erev Yom Tov, it had already these spices and water and salt had the tchum of the person who owned it. She borrowed it on Yom Tov. Now she's making a bread. So bread's a new thing. So therefore, her tchum gets affected also. She created something. She created a new isa over here, a dough. So therefore, it's restricted by the tchum of both of them. Rita says if she just borrowed water, so then you only go after the tchum of the the lady who baked the bread, because the water that she borrowed on Yom Tov is ein mo mamish. It's not considered significant. It doesn't restrict you the tchum of the person who gave it to you. Masisin, where it says the lo Rabbi Dosa. Our mission is not like Rabbi Dosa. It's not Rabbi Dosa. Omer ve'amri Abba Shol Omer. If you bought something, so since you purchased it before Yom Tov, even though you only got it on Yom Tov, halachically it's right in your rishus before Yom Tov, so it goes after the buyer's tchum. If you give over your animal to a shepherd to watch on Yom Tov, even though only given on Yom Tov, it goes after the tchum of the shepherd. Our Mishnah says if you give it on Yom Tov, it goes after the tchum of the bailim. The Mishnah is talking about where there's two roim, there's two shepherds in the city. So therefore, we're not sure which shepherd is going to give it to. So therefore, the onset of Yom Tov or the onset of Shabbos, it was undecided. Therefore, we go by the tchum of the person who owned the animal. But if there's only one row in the city or Dos is talking about, so therefore we know, even though he don't give it to him on Yom Tov, he normally gives the shepherd to watch on Shabbos and Yom Tov. We assume he's going to give it to that one on Shabbos and Yom Tov. It goes after his tchum. Daikanami, it's meduyuk like this. Dani lebno laroa. It says in the Mishnah, either he can give it to a shepherd or to his son, so it's not clear who he's giving it to. It's like the case of Shnei Roim. That's the Mishnah. Shema Amina. Amar Rabbi Baruchan, Amar Yochanan Alacha Rabbi Dosa. Alacha follows Rabbi Dosa. Amir Rabbi Yochanan Haki. Yochanan only say this. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Alacha Kistam Mishnah. Alacha Kistam Mishnah. It's not a behema ve'kelim keragle abailim. It goes after the owners. Rabbi Dosa says it goes after the roeh. So the Gemara says, "V'lav no kim no kam roeh hagam Shnei Roim." It's not really a stiro. Rabbi Yochanan passed like Rabbi Dosa. He also passed the Stam Mishnah. The Stam Mishnah was talking about where it was unclear who was giving it to, which they wrote. Dosa's case talking about Roy Echad, it's not a stira, they're complementary cases. Two people borrowed a shirt. One intended to go in the morning to the Beis HaMedrash. The second one wanted to borrow the shirt at night. He's going to use it in mincha time, let's say, at Shalashidus time, he's going to use it to go to a party. And that party is Shalashidus, if I'm bringing it, I don't know. One person who was going to go in the base medrash, he made his Erev Tchumen 2,000 amos to the north. And the one who's going to the base of Mishta, that was the direction of the party, in the south. So basically, they're stuck. They have to take into account each other's Erev. So if each one made an Erev 1,000 amos to one side, so therefore you'll get 1,000 amos. You'll get within it instead of 2,000 amos to the. Let's say you made it 1,000 amos outside to the north of the city. So instead of getting 3,000 amos to that side, you only get 1,000 amos. And to the other side of the city, you're restricted within also 1,000 amos to the south because of that Erev, because the other Erev, because of your Erev moving to the north, so therefore you restrict yourself to 1,000 amos outside of the city, not even 2,000 amos, only 1,000 amos to the south. So basically, you get tied down. In Mitsu, as a Torah, if they each made it 2,000 amos, one to the north, 2,000 amos, one to the south, 2,000 amos, then they're stuck. They can't move from the city. Itmar Shnayim Shalachu Chavis Behema B'Shutvas. Two people bought a barrel of wine or an animal. In a partnership of Shutvas, they planned on drinking the wine or shechting the animal on Yom Tov. Rav Amar Chavis Muteras Behema Asura. Rav says the barrel of wine, when they split the barrel of wine, you can use your tchum. You're the person, each shutaf can use his own tchum. Behema Asura, the behema gets, it's jointly owned, and therefore you have to calculate the other person's tchum alongside your tchum, and it restricts you in both ways. Shmuel Amar Chavis Nami Asura. Shmuel says the machmer also by the chavis. You're also restricted by the other shutaf's tchum. Like Rav, what does Rav hold? If he holds there's breira, meaning when I shechted the animal or when I split the barrel of wine into two, so it's considered huvra l'mafrei. It's considered retroactively clarified that it was your chelik at the onset of Yom Tov. So therefore, your chelik of wine, your chelik of the animal gets your tchum, not the other, the shutav's tchum. I feel behemoth history. Also, the animal should be mutter because our in breira. I feel chavis nami asur. If there's no breira, like Shmuel obviously holds, then the chavis should also be restricted by both tchumin. Olam kasavar yesh breira. Really holds a breira. Shana behemoth the kayanki tchum adad. The reason it's machmer behema is because this is hard to understand because the tchumin have yanika, they have a growth from each other. Amrle Rav Kana Rav Asa the Rav. This from Muksal Chashash. This from tchumin chashashu. For muksa, we say breira, meaning we assume that it's not muksa because normally you can't use something that you didn't have das for. You didn't have das for your partner's chayla. You only das for your chayla. So if we say breira for muksa, so why are you saying breira? And that applies by wine also. Why are you saying tchumen? Why are you machmer tchumen? Shasik Rav was quiet. So what does it mean Rav was quiet? Rashi says he was moded to him. He was wrong. He said he was wrong. But most Rishonim, the Rambam, the Rif, the Yiri all state that he didn't. It wasn't a good question. He didn't even have to bother answering the question. It didn't make any sense to question. We'll get back to Ian Metzia at the end of the shir. Try to understand this line of the Gemara. Most Rishonim that what is the chiluk between behema and chavis, that Yanki Tchum Hadadi, what exactly does that mean? That will be the Ian Metzia part of the shir. We'll end the shir off with that. My Havi Allah. What's the maskana? Do we hold of breira or not? Rabbi Hoshai Amar Yesh breira. Hoshai says there is breira. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Yesh breira. He says no breira. Rabbi Yochanan would hold like Shmuel. Hoshai would hold that behema and the chavis both be mutter to each personal's tchum, it's the personal tchum of that person. So Rabbi Hoshai Yesh breira. Hoshai really hold a breira. Nah, and ameis b'bayis v'lo psachim harbe. If you have a dead person in the house on Shabbos, Yom Tov, even not on Shabbos Yom Tov, and there's many doors, so entrances to take the mace out of. Kulant mayim, so they all become tamei. Where choshesh, they might take him out of anything. So anything under these doors and these entrances become tamei. Niftach echad mehen hu tamei v'kulant tahor. If one of the doors after the person dies, or before the person dies, one of the doorways got open, so we can assume it's going to be taken out that way, and the other ones are tar. If he decided, the person who was in charge of burying the mace decided that he's going to take him out of one of them, or he's going to take it out through a window that has 4 tvachim by 4 tvachim, it saves the other entrances from conducting tuma, anything under them. Beishamai says it has to be that the person thought about he's going to take it out of that Pesach, that doorway before the person dies, before the mace dies. Beitzah says even if he thought about it after the mace died, all he says, even if according to Beitzah, even though he says that you can think about it after the person dies, it doesn't mean that it's going to retroactively retire all the psachim at the time of the misa. It only says from the time he thought that, from then on, then it's matzel. Anything that came underneath one of the doorways that wasn't planned on taking it out of, that is tahor, and only the Pesach that he planned on taking it out was tamei. So then where's the Apa? You have to switch it around. Yeshaya, Marim Breira. Yeshaya, like we just saw, doesn't hold a Breira. Yochanan Yesh Breira. Yochanan does hold a Breira. Me immediately Yochanan Breira. Yochanan hold a retroactive clarification. Amar Rav Asim Yochanan Akash Kilkulukos Hein Machzin Lezebi Yovel. Brothers who divide up an estate, a Yerusha, they're considered Lakuchos. They're considered purchasers, meaning we're not sure really. The truth is that in the inheritance of brothers, when they inherit from their father, it really belongs to, there's a specific share, a specific part of the estate that belongs to them. We don't know what that is. So do you consider, if you say Breira, so we assume that whatever chelik they got when they separated, when they actually physically separated the estate into different parts of the different brothers, so Breira tells us they got exactly what belonged to them. And if you don't have Breira, then that's Lakucha saying it's that I can exchange. And therefore, the nafkamina of this is that on Yovel, you have to go back and reassign the estate. You have to give it out again to separate the estate again, because the Lakucha saying Yovel ancestral land goes back to the original owner. Since we can't assume of Breira, we don't assume it went to the right owner. Could be it's a purchased area it doesn't belong to. So you see the fact that he holds he holds an whole Breira. That's talking about a Yerusha, which is a Raisa. The Rabbana by Tchumen, only according to Rekiva it's a Raisa, but according to the Rabbana it's the Rabbana Islay Breira. He holds a Breira. The Rabbana Islay Breira. A person came masna on two things at one time. What does that mean? If there's only one Torah scholar coming, he makes an Eruv to 2,000 amos to the east, 2,000 amos to the west, and then the Chacham comes on Shabbos. At this point, this is the Havamina. The Chacham comes on Shabbos, so his if he comes to the Mizrach, his Eruv for the Mizrach. If you come to the Marav, you can go more than 2,000 amos, up to 4,000 amos to each side. Either Lakan, but if two Talmidim come, one from each side, low. You can't choose which one you want to go to. Avinon. But we asked, Maishna Lakan Lakan the low, they ain't Breira. The reason you can't do that is because we don't assume retroactive clarification. Mizrach Marav Nami and Breira. Also, to east and west, even if it's one scholar, what's the difference? It's also Breira. The case of the one scholar is where the Chacham already came on Erev Shabbos, it came before Shkia, so therefore, technically, you had in mind that whichever side he comes to before Shabbos, so that already at Erev Shabbos was decided, it wasn't retroactive. At Shabbos, on Erev Shabbos was decided which one you're going to use. So you see from this whole conversation, he doesn't hold a Breira. I really don't switch around. The Rishaya holds a Breira. He doesn't hold a by Tumas Hameis, that's the Raisa, he doesn't hold a Breira. The Rabbana Islay. Tchumen, he does hold a Breira, and that would be Rabbi Shai is the one who holds a Breira. Darshmar, Zushalacha, Rabbi Yoshai. Rabbi Shai, we do hold, but the Rabbanan of Tchumen of Breira. Now, just to go back, even with Ben Sion, to explain this shita of Rav, that Rav makes a chilik by Chavis and a Behema, and it could be this is the halacha also, that we pass like Rav, that even though we do hold a Breira by a Chavis, two shlushim that take the Chavis by the Behema, Yanki Tchumim Adad. What does it mean, Yanki Tchumim Adad? The whole concept of Breira is that it's Efshar at Ben Hashmasha, it could have gone either way. We just don't know, and we find out later. So we can assume we picked one way at Ben Hashmasha. By an animal, you're going to shaft the animal on Yom Tov. But you, in Klape Tchumen, the halacha of Tchumen is that you wanted the animal to be able to walk. Normally, an item, chavis, you have to transport yourself. It doesn't get transported by itself. An animal walks. Usually an animal you don't carry on your shoulders, okay? It walks. So, Klape Yisrael of Tchumen, the animal, you can't say the animal was like it's shechted on Yom Tov, on Erev Yom Tov, Ben Hashmash, because you wanted to take it with you to each Tchum. The midah of the animal, we're judging not the physical essence of the animal. The chavis, we're just judging the physical components of the yayin. But when it comes to the animal, we're judging a midah, the midah of its gevura, its strength, its walking. And you want it to be able to walk at ben hashmashos to either side. So you can't divide the animal in hashmashos. It's stira mineu bay. It's impossible to divide the animal in a shmasha, so you can't say brayer there for sure. Yanki tlum me'adade, that's the pshat. Yanki tlum me'adade. Have a good day. Bye.